Now to this week's cold case file, the story of an investigation that had hit dead end after dead end after dead end. But thanks to today's latest in DNA technology, it is a case that has finally been solved. And tonight we're going to look at the disappearance of Debbie Lynn Randall. She was only 9 years old when she was kidnapped on January 13th, 1972 in Cobb County, Georgia. The third grader was on her way home from the laundromat, only about a block away from her home when she vanished. And thousands of people turned out to search for that little girl. Tragically, Debbie's body was found 16 days later, strangled and sexually assaulted. Now, police were able to recover a hair from the suspect and a piece of cloth from the crime scene. The FBI was first able to test that evidence in October of 2001 when they ruled out some suspects, but no killer was found. And then they tried again in 2015, 2019, and then just last year when investigators discovered the DNA did belong to a man, but they had no dice on an actual identity. Finally, this year, the break investigators were hoping for. And that's where I want to bring in Cobb County District Attorney Flynn Broady for a huge development in this case. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, so put us out of our suspense here. Do you know who the killer is?
Yes, the killer was William Rose. He was a resident of Marietta whose mother actually lived in the same apartment complex as Debbie Lynn Randall.
And this William Rose, was he on the radar at all for police back in the 1970s? What links did he have other than proximity to Debbie?
He was not on their radar at all. They had not gotten any tips that he might have been the culprit. Nothing at all led them to him other than the future testing of his DNA.
And so Rose died back in 1974 as well, right? But from suicide only 2 years after Debbie's murder. I know that this was tied together by DNA evidence. Did the DNA evidence lead back to his family members?
Yes. Once they got a DNA profile, the profile said it was a single male, but because he had no criminal history and at the time DNA was not being taken for criminals, there was no way to identify that he was the culprit because there was no profile in CODIS to identify him as the culprit in that case. As future DNA technology increased, they were able to link his DNA to his family. And a distant relative was found of his who then was willing to be tested, and that brought the search closer to his immediate family, who also cooperated and was tested before we made the match that it was him, or we assumed it was him, but to be sure, we made sure we exhumed his body and tested his DNA from his corpse to make sure that we had the right person.
And so after you dug up his body and then you took that DNA sample, it was a 100% match there?
It was a 100% match. What we had suspected was confirmed.
Finally, I got to ask, this is a 51-year-old case, and you tried finding a DNA match in 2001, 2015, 2019, 22, and nothing. Why not give up? What made you keep testing and keep digging?
You know, we have a duty to our citizens. We have a duty to our community. We have a duty to our victims to make sure we bring closure for them. Without a doubt, any cold case, we continue to use the latest technology to help us solve those cases. And as DNA continues to evolve, I'm sure we're going to be able to solve more cases. But at the same time, that testing and everything helps us eliminate suspects, helps us exonerate people. So it's just our duty is to make sure that we find justice no matter how long it takes.
Do you think we're about to enter a new era of DNA testing where we start to see cases like this on the regular?
Yeah, I truly believe so. And not only for finding the actual culprit, but also for exonerating people who claim their innocence, and we can use DNA to prove that they are innocent. So it works both ways. And as a prosecutor, you know, I have a duty to both the victims and also to the offenders to make sure that we are administering justice.
Cobb County District Attorney Flynn Broady, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.